Iman Aghay, this is delightful to be able to meet with you like this and interview you for the Game Changer Volume 3.
Thank you very much. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, me too. So tell us about you. Tell readers about a little bit more about you.
Okay, so as you know, my name is Iman Aghay, and I'm the founder of Success Road Academy and the founder of Entrepreneurs International Network. I'm a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, and international public speaker. And over the years, I've been working with entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, authors, speakers, people who are making a massive positive difference in the world. And I work with them to build successful businesses around their knowledge and message that business is aligned with their life purpose. And the way that the book came about is as I worked with all of these amazing experts, I kept hearing the stories of their life, of things that was life-changing, and things that I was telling them, you really need to share this story with your students. You need to share this story with the world, because this is a story that inspires them to take action. And this is the story that connects with them, because they probably are going through something similar to this. And it started with them sharing it with one person at a time. And then when that grew in, so many of my students were like sharing their stories, I thought, okay, well, why don't we put these stories in a book? And this becomes the game changer, becomes a story that changed the game for that one person and starts inspiring other people. And so that all together created the Game Changer book series, which we are on volume 3.
Very powerful. The stories themselves, when you see these people that have these successful businesses now, and when you read their stories, it gives you hope. It shows that anyone can get through anything. So it's very powerful. What would you say is one of the biggest transformations that you've seen from one of your authors?
You know, it's actually very interesting, because the authors that are writing the stories in the Game Changer book, they are writing from many different points of view. Like, many of the challenges are very personal challenges. Many of the challenges are financial related challenges. Many of the challenges are health related challenges. And it's just every story has like get me thinking. It's like what really what we entrepreneurs go through, right? You know, like when it comes to our personal life, when it comes to our business, when it comes to our health, when it comes to what are the things that we need to overcome to even be the people that we are. And I can't really pinpoint like one thing or another. I remember in the first Game Changer book, we had Lucas Madiello's story, for example, where his story starts from him driving himself to the hospital and admitting himself to the psychiatric department of the hospital because of his anxiety and the level of stress that he was experiencing, that he could not perform anymore. And he's like, yeah, I have to actually admit myself to the psychiatric department of a hospital. And you look at that story, and a few years later, he's the world-class leader on helping people with overcoming anxiety and making a massive difference in the world by understanding how their stress works, right? On the second book, I remember Ben Pritchett's story, that the story starts from the point that he's thinking of committing suicide, and his decision of committing suicide is not coming from a place that he's depressed, or it's not coming from a place that he doesn't want to live, but it's coming from purely as a business decision, that his business got to the point that the only way that he could see a way out for his family was committing suicide, so his family can earn the insurance money. You know,
I remember that story.
Right? Yeah. And just like every single one of these stories are unbelievable. Like, we have stories in this in the Game Changer 3 that I was reading them, like, you know, to just like proofread and everything. And there are stories of people who have experienced sexual abuse. There are stories of people who have experienced lots of financial hardships. There are stories of people who have experienced disbeliefs in everything that they were doing because they were told that they cannot achieve or amount to anything, you know, they cannot. And when you read these stories and you see how this person has gone through all of these things to achieve the personal growth and the success that they are living in today.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Because, you know, as humans, we are drawn to story. We need story to help us to connect. And yet when we're in a group of people, and like you, for all the teaching that you do, you never know what the stories are that are sitting right in that audience. And I know for myself, my biggest change in my life was when I wrote my story. Because in essence, for myself, it was as if I set the story free. It didn't hang over me anymore because it was done. You know, it shared with the world. It helped connect with other people, but it pretty much ended the power of that story over me. So now that we are talking about stories, what's your story?
Oh.
I got you there, didn't I?
Well, how much time do we have? For those of you who don't know me, I talk a lot. So yeah, but there are actually many stories. As you know, I have 70 stories that are written, you know, kind of different areas of my life for different things. But I think the most known story that I talk about is the story of my dad, and how I grew up and why I do what I do. And it goes to my childhood. That's why it's actually my why story. It's what gets me going every single day, working with hundreds of people every month, and at the same time I'm like, yes, I'm energized, let's do one, you know, let's that goes all the way to my childhood. As I was growing up, my dad was an entrepreneur, and he was a very successful entrepreneur. He understood business really well, and he was investing in different businesses. He was helping different businesses that were at a point that they could not survive, and you know, they needed a person to come and help them. My dad would go to the business, would invest in the business, and change the management, change the style, change the business, and make it a very successful business, and at the end sell it. So he was a successful investor, he was a successful business owner, and he was good at what he was doing. But that all came at a cost that he had to work every single day, 16 to 18 hours a day. Although we were living in the same home, there were times that I hadn't seen my dad for 3 months in a row, because he would leave home before we would wake up, and he would come back home after we went to bed. And there were many times that I would even stay awake till I would see my dad, and like till 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and he wouldn't come home. Still, like, he wasn't home. And I would wake up at like 6 a.m. and he had already left home. Yes. And you know, when I started becoming a teenager, I was 12 years old. I remember this. I went to my dad and I saw him one time accidentally at home, which is very sad to say, because like, we're living in the same home and I had to see him accidentally at home. I went to him and I said, Dad, when do you want to stop this madness? You know, as a teenager, I was like questioning everything. And I'm like, when do you want to stop this madness? Like, when do you want to stop working so hard? And he said, kid, as soon as you turn 18, I'm going to retire. I was the youngest kid. And he was like, as soon as you turn 18, I'm going to retire. Just my plan is to work hard until you're 18 so you can be on your own. And then me and your mom are going to start traveling the world and have fun. And it was actually my dad's passion to travel the world and have, and spend time with my mom. But he was just so busy that they never got a chance to do that. And it's like, yeah, the moment that you're 18, I'm going to retire. And by the time that I would be 18, he would be 53. And I thought, okay, you know what? That's not actually a bad plan. So you're working really hard. So you retire at 53, and then you can enjoy your life. You can do everything you want to do. So I actually was very happy for him after that point. I'm like, well, I couldn't understand you to that point, but now at that point, I could understand him. Well, when my dad turned 50, he was diagnosed with a disease called ALS. Mm. It's also known as Lou Gehrig's disease.
Right.
And ALS is a disease that kills a patient within 3 to 5 years, and there's no cure for it. And when he turned 53, he passed away. He never enjoyed his life. He never did what he wanted to do. And he died with massive amount of regrets. And at that point, it shaped a passion in me to help entrepreneurs to build a business that serves their life purpose, not a business that every day they work hard for the business, and at the end of the day, they end up to be the slaves to their business. Not a business that every single day turns to become a regret in life. And since then, any business that I did, even without knowing that, I have had my heart in helping entrepreneurs. And I didn't know why, until about 6 years ago when I wrote my life story. When I wrote my life story, I realized, holy crap, that's why I like to help entrepreneurs to build a successful business for themselves that serves their life purpose. That's why money has never been my value, because I don't care about it, because I know that you can die a very wealthy person with a lot of regrets, or you can live a life with no regrets and have not a lot of money at all.
Right.
At that point, that was the time that I realized that the stories of every person matters. It's the stories of the person that creates their life purpose. It's the stories of the person that creates their why. And that's why every single time that I work with my students, I push them to write their stories.
That's beautiful.
I want them to know their why.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And that's how we ended up actually having all of my students knowing their stories.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I was pushing them, know your story, know your story, know your story. And then as a result, they start writing their stories and inspiring others. And
well, you see so much growth when that happens. And I think for most of us, it kind of puts a lot of pieces together, you know, and also for the community part of it. Yeah. Is what I've seen happening with the authors for the Game Changer 3 is the camaraderie, because they're all sharing their stories and they're starting to understand each other better and having more empathy for each other and understanding what each other has gone through to get to the journey, this point in the life's journey, which is absolute key.
Absolutely.
Well, Iman, you have touched many, many lives through your teachings, you have all levels of courses that you help people, you help, new entrepreneurs and people that are very successful and want to go to that next level. So share with us your global dream. What is your big, big picture?
Well, I have one goal, and that's changing the lives of 100 million people in a massive positive way. And I know that I can't do it alone. So that's why I work with coaches, consultants, authors, speakers. I work with change makers because I know that I can help 10,000 people, and those 10,000 people each help an average of 10,000 people. So that creates the change in the lives of 100 million people. And that creates a lasting ripple effect. That creates an eternal impact on the world. When I help one person and that person helps 10,000 other people, those people that that person helped also will go out and help many, many, many more people, right? So that's been my goal in the past few years. I have started a new kind of chapter of my life in a way as well, in the sense that I realized the reason that I struggled a lot in the business. Now, as you guys know, and maybe other people on the call don't know, so I can tell you another story, but that when I moved to Canada in 2009, I moved here with not lots of money in my pocket, in the hope that my money comes and follows me from Iran. And 3 days after I landed here, I realized it's not going to happen. 3 days later, I realized my money gets stuck and I have a few $1,000s in my pocket and I got to survive with this with my wife. And at that point, I started applying for one job after another, after another, after another. And not a single person decided to get back to me and interview me for giving me a job. Not a single person gave me a chance to even talk to me about about my skills. And it was 2009. Everybody, it was right after recession. It was a lot of people were not hiring, right? I was at a position that I was willing to do anything. I was willing to do anything to survive. The day that I started my business, I was 17 days away from becoming homeless. And the only reason that I started my business at that time was because I had no other way to fail. I had tried everything I could. I dropped off resume for 16 to 18 hours a day, every day, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Every day, I dropped off resume after resume after resume after resume. And nobody gave me a chance. As I grew my business, well, right now I have 15,000 students. I have 35 employees. And we've changed the lives of so many people over the past few years in the business. This is a business that started because nobody gave me a second chance. But I could easily be one of those homeless people on the street if I wouldn't get lucky and I wouldn't find a client 3 days after I started my business. 3 days after I started my business, one client gave me $1,800. That money paid the rent of the month, bought us some food, right? And then next month I got another client. Technically, those clients gave me the chance, gave me a second chance, but in terms of an entrepreneur, not as an employee. So over the past few years, over and over and over and over, I think about there are so many people that need a second chance.
Oh, very much.
And I want to create a company that we create those second chances for people. So I am working on a project that we become the company that gives people the second chance. We become the company that hires people that require a second chance, need a second chance, and the company becomes just the platform for them to launch again, to learn new skills, to learn new, to position themselves, to generate some money so, you know, they can survive. And then as a result of that, we help them and support them to get into the industries where in other jobs they can actually work. So I'm very excited about that project. I can't share lots of details of what type of company it's going to be and what we're going to do because it's not published yet. It's not public yet. But I'm very excited about that project. I've been working on it for the past year, and we're putting together the plans and everything. Probably we're going to launch it in the next year or so. I've been actually showing it off over the past few years, but because I don't talk about it, nobody actually sees it. So it's right in front of people's eyes. It's even right now on this call, it's right in front of people's eyes, but they don't see it just because I don't talk about it. So, but then I'm very excited about that, and I'm so looking forward to having a company that we're giving people the second chance. We're giving people the opportunity to build their dream and get the support that they need.
That sounds amazing.
Beautiful. Well, it shows your beautiful heart too. You know, that it's a showcase for that, and that's the attracting factor for so many of us that have gone through your courses and listen to you speak and follow you, is because we know the heart behind it, you know, and you share that. And when it's sometimes, you know, when people become very successful, they lose some of that human touch, and you haven't allowed that to happen. So that's beautiful.
From my point of view, as I said, like my dad passed away as a wealthy man, and I saw how the only thing that mattered in his life was what he did during his days, and his impact was his kindness, was not his money at any point. And I learned a lot from my dad's story, and I also learned a lot that you can lose everything in a matter of a day, you know.
Yes.
So money doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's not the money that matters. At the end of the day, it's your actions and the type of person that you are, and your efforts and your impacts is what matters the most.
Well, and I'm sure you're seeing with all the people that you've helped, and they're going out and causing that ripple effect, you've got to see major changes. And I know you have, because I've I've heard a lot of the testimonies and seen and met some of these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're quite the game changer, and that's why the title of this book is so fitting, and it's perfect. So thank you for taking the time with us today for this interview, and we will be sharing it out, and just applaud you for all that you are.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for doing amazing work. And yeah, I'm excited for the book to come out, and I'm getting to the hands of thousands of people because it will make a massive difference in people's lives.
Absolutely.
Good.